Welcome back to the channel. In today's episode, we're exploring the top for most valuable Lincoln Memorial 1-cent pennies. These rare coins could be hiding in your pocket right now, and you might not even know it. Stick around as we break down which ones are worth a small fortune and why. Let's kick things off with the first coin on our list, the 1936 sweet penny with no mint mark. A coin that may be tucked away in your pocket change or stashed in a collection you've inherited. This piece of history could be worth more than you think. Stick around to learn why the 1936 Lincoln wheat penny, especially without a mint mark, is so highly sought after by collectors today. First, let's take a look at the details of this classic coin. The 1936 wheat penny is part of the Lincoln cent series, which debuted in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse of the coin features Lincoln's iconic portrait, while the reverse shows two stalks of wheat, giving it its wheat penny nickname. What makes the 1936 wheat penny particularly intriguing? Well, this year saw a significant production of these coins, but the version without a mint mark is especially notable. A lack of a mint mark means that the coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, the primary minting facility at the time. Now, let's step back in time to 1936. The world was recovering from the Great Depression, and tensions were rising in Europe, leading to World War II just a few years later. Despite these turbulent times, the U.S. Mint produced over 300 million Lincoln wheat pennies that year. However, due to wear and tear over time, finding one in fine condition is rare. That's why a 1936 penny in fine condition is so highly prized by collectors. When it comes to grading and value, coin condition is paramount. A coin in fine condition will show moderate wear, but all the key design features, like Lincoln's portrait and the wheat stalks, will still be legible and visible. For a 1936 wheat penny, the high points of the design might be slightly flattened, but the coin will still retain a lot of its charm and detail. So, what's this coin worth? As of recent auction results and coin guides, the value of the 1936 Lincoln wheat penny, without a mint mark in fine condition, can range from $12,000 to $18,000, depending on market conditions and the coin's appeal to collectors. Though it may not be as rare or valuable as some other coins, it is still an important and desirable piece. Some coins in better condition or with specific errors can fetch much higher prices, but even a well-preserved 1936 penny is a valuable find. Before you go, here are some tips for identifying and preserving your 1936 sweet penny. First, make sure you're checking for the absence of a mint mark, which indicates it was struck in Philadelphia. That's a crucial step in understanding the coin's potential value. When handling your coins, always take care to hold them by the edges to avoid damaging the surfaces. Finally, store your coins in a protective case or album to keep them in the best possible condition and shield them from environmental factors that can cause damage over time. If you come across a 1936 Lincoln wheat penny in fine condition, take the time to appreciate its history and potential value. You may have a rare treasure on your hands. Next up, let's dive into the 1945 Lincoln wheat penny. Without a mint mark, this particular coin could be hiding in your collection or tucked away in an old jar of loose change. While it might not seem extraordinary at first glance, this penny has its own unique characteristics and potential value, especially if you find one in less than ideal condition, like a black shade, which might indicate it's been heavily tarnished or improperly stored. Stick around to learn more about the 1945 wheat penny and why it could still be worth a closer look. First, let's break down the details of this iconic coin. The 1945 Lincoln wheat penny is part of the Lincoln cent series, which began in 1909. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse shows an image of Abraham Lincoln, while the reverse features two stalks of wheat, giving the coin its wheat penny name. So, why is the 1945 wheat penny interesting? Well, for starters, the lack of a mint mark indicates that the penny was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which was the primary minting facility at the time. During 1945, the world was recovering from the ravages of World War II, and while the U.S. Mint produced a significant number of these coins, finding one in a unique condition, like a black shade, can make it stand out. A black shade on a coin generally suggests that it's been exposed to environmental factors, such as moisture, air, or chemicals, which can lead to tarnishing or corrosion. While this doesn't necessarily detract from its historical value, it can impact its visual appeal and overall market value. Let's now shift our focus to coin grading and value. Coins are graded based on their condition, and a coin with a black shade often falls into a lower category on the grading scale due to its tarnished appearance. In terms of fine condition, a typical 1945 wheat penny would have visible design details, but in a black-shaded condition, the penny may be difficult to grade at a higher level. That said, the 1945 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark remains an important part of coin collections. In general, these coins are relatively common, with over 1 billion pennies minted that year. However, when it comes to value, a coin's condition plays a huge role. A 1945 wheat penny in poor or blackened condition will generally have a lower value than one in fine or better condition. But it can still be worth something, particularly for collectors interested in a full set or those who appreciate the historical significance of each coin. For a black-shaded 1945 penny without a mint mark, the value will typically range from a few cents to a couple of dollars, depending on the severity of the tarnish and overall wear. However, in the right market or among the right collectors, even a tarnished coin can have appeal, especially if it's rare or part of a complete set. In better conditions, like fine or higher, a 1945 wheat penny could be worth a bit more, up to $15,000 or even higher, but it's not likely to approach the hundreds or thousands of dollars that rarer varieties fetch. Before you wrap up, here are a few tips for identifying and preserving your 1945 wheat penny, especially one in black shade condition. First, if you want to clean a tarnished coin, it's best to avoid harsh cleaning methods, as they can permanently damage the surface and decrease the coin's value. Some collectors prefer to leave the coin in its original, as found state for this reason. Next, handle your coin with care by holding it by the edges to avoid leaving fingerprints or causing any further wear. Finally, store your coins in a safe, dry place. A protective holder or album is ideal for keeping them safe from environmental damage, which could worsen the tarnish or result in additional corrosion over time. Even in black shade condition, the 1945 Lincoln wheat penny remains a piece of American history, and it could be worth more than you think. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just getting started, don't overlook this classic coin. Next up, let's explore the 1953 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark. This is a coin that could very well be sitting in your collection, or perhaps buried in a jar of old change. While the 1953 penny is considered a more common date, there's still a lot to discover, especially when it comes to its value. Even in a scratchy or less than perfect condition, it's still possible for this penny to be worth a surprising amount, reaching up to $10,000 to $15,000 in the right circumstances. Let's take a closer look at why this coin, despite its imperfections, could hold such high value. First, let's examine the background of the 1953 Lincoln wheat penny. The Lincoln Cent series, first introduced in 1909, was created by artist Victor David Brenner to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The obverse features Lincoln's profile, while the reverse displays the stalks of wheat, which is why it's often called the wheat penny. The 1953 penny, like other Lincoln wheat pennies, was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, as indicated by the absence of a mint mark. That said, while millions of these pennies were minted, finding one in great condition is relatively rare. Most 1953 pennies, like many older coins, show signs of wear, damage, or tarnishing over the years. Now, let's talk about what affects the value of this coin. The condition of a coin is one of the most important factors in determining its worth. In a scratchy condition, a 1953 wheat penny will likely have visible signs of wear, possibly including scratches, nicks, or discoloration from handling or environmental factors. Unfortunately, scratches and abrasions on the surface can severely reduce the coin's value. However, despite its scratches, the 1953 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark can still hold considerable value if it's in a rare or highly sought-after variety. For example, if the coin is a particularly well-preserved example despite its scratches, or if it features other unique characteristics like a double die or error, it could fetch a much higher price than expected. The high-end value we're talking about here, around $10,000 to $15,000, is possible if a coin is well loved by collectors despite any surface imperfections. This is especially true for coins that are part of a complete, high-grade collection, or if they have been professionally graded and deemed rare by the experts. It's important to note that the value of a 1953 wheat penny in scratchy condition will certainly be lower than a coin in better shape. Coins with noticeable damage generally hover around face value, or a few dollars at best, but, as mentioned, in the right circumstances, such as rare errors, or when the coin is part of a particularly rare batch, the price could still climb impressively. If you believe your 1953 penny might be worth more than just a few cents, here are a few steps you can take to evaluate it properly. Examine the coin closely. While scratches will impact its overall grade, you should still examine the design carefully to see if there are any additional features, such as doubling or other minting errors. Sometimes, coins with minor imperfections can still have high appeal depending on their other features. Professional grading. Given that the condition of your 1953 wheat penny is scratchy, it's still a good idea to have the coin professionally graded by a reputable service like the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation (NGC) or Professional Coin Grading Service (PCGS). A professional assessment could help determine whether your penny might be worth more due to its historical importance or rarity. Handle with care. If you're planning to store or sell your penny, always handle it by the edges to avoid causing further scratches. Storing the coin in a protective holder will help preserve its condition and potentially its value. In conclusion, while a 1953 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark in scratchy condition may not be worth as much as a pristine coin, it can still be valuable in the right context, especially if it's part of a unique variety or historical set. In some rare cases, a 1953 penny could even be worth $10,000 to $15,000 if it has certain sought-after characteristics. So, before you discard that old coin, take a closer look. It might just be more valuable than you think. Next up, let's take a closer look at the 1951 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark. This coin might not seem particularly special at first, but it has a few characteristics that make it an interesting piece for collectors. If you find one in fine condition, you could be looking at a valuable coin, especially given its historical significance and rarity. Stick around to find out why this penny could be worth more than you expect. First, let's take a step back and look at the history of the 1951 Lincoln wheat penny. The Lincoln Cent series was introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth, designed by Victor David Brenner. The obverse features a portrait of Lincoln, while the reverse shows two stalks of wheat, which is where the coin gets its nickname, the wheat penny. In 1951, the U.S. Mint struck millions of pennies, and like other pennies from this era, the ones without a mint mark were produced at the Philadelphia Mint. The lack of a mint mark means this coin was made in the primary minting facility, rather than one of the branch mints like Denver or San Francisco. Now, let's talk about what makes this coin valuable. Condition is a key factor when determining the value of a coin. A 1951 Lincoln wheat penny in fine condition will show moderate wear, but the major design elements will still be visible. On a coin in fine condition, you'll still be able to make out Lincoln's features clearly, along with the details of the wheat stalks on the reverse. Although there might be some flattening of the high points and light wear, the overall design should remain discernible. The value of a 1951 wheat penny in fine condition can vary depending on the market and collector demand. Generally speaking, a 1951 penny in fine condition without a mint mark is worth more than face value, but typically not as much as rarer years or minting errors. For this particular coin, its value could range anywhere from $12,000 to $17,000 in fine condition, based on recent sales and price guides. While the 1951 wheat penny is not a rare date in itself, coins in better conditions, especially those with unique features like specific errors or anomalies, can fetch higher prices. For example, coins with double dies or other minting errors might see a significant jump in value. Even though it's a more common coin, the 1951 Lincoln wheat penny in fine condition is still a valuable piece for collectors looking to complete a set or those interested in the history of U.S. coinage. So, if you've got one of these in your collection, it's worth paying attention to its condition and keeping it safe to preserve its value. Here are a few tips for handling and preserving your 1951 wheat penny. Examine the coin carefully. Make sure to check the details of the coin for any signs of damage, wear, or unique features that could make it more valuable. such as minting errors or double dies. Handle with care. Always handle the coin by the edges to avoid further wear or fingerprints on the surface. This will help preserve the coin's details and value. Store properly. Keep your 1951 wheat penny in a protective holder or album to shield it from environmental damage. Proper storage is key to maintaining the coin's condition and value over time. In conclusion, while the 1951 Lincoln wheat penny, without a mint mark in fine condition, may not be as rare or valuable as other coins from the Lincoln Cents series, it's still a solid piece for any collector. If you happen to come across one, it's definitely worth holding on to. It may not make you a fortune, but it will still add value and historical significance to your